Trump spoke as usual, but this time, no one applauded. She just read a piece of paper, and the whole room of 10,000 people fell silent. Hey, so we're back in Florida, right in the thick of this electric night. 1,000 lights are blazing overhead. 10,000 faces are packed into this sprawling arena. And at the center of it all is Donald Trump, holding court at the podium like he's been doing for years. If you've ever been to one of these rallies, and I've covered plenty, you know the vibe. It's part rock concert, part revival meeting, part political circus. Flags are waving everywhere, red, white, and blue rippling in the humid air. Phones are flashing like a lightning storm, capturing every second for the Gram or TikTok or whatever app the kids are on these days. And in the background, some over-the-top patriotic anthem is fading out, setting the stage for the main event. This ain't just any rally, though. It's pitched as a big, bold statement about American strength and family values, two buzzwords that get thrown around a lot in Trump's world. The crowd's eating it up before he even opens his mouth. You've got folks in MAGA hats, families with kids on their shoulders, old-timers waving tiny flags, and a few skeptics scattered in the mix arms crossed just watching. Florida, man, it's Trump country through and through. This state's been a battleground for his brand of politics since day one, with its mix of retirees, working-class folks, and die-hard conservatives who see him as their champion. So the energy, it's through the roof. People are screaming hyped, ready for him to drop whatever bombshell he's got up his sleeve tonight. And then Trump steps up to the mic, and it's like the air itself sharpens. His voice cuts through the noise, measured but biting every word, crafted to hit hard. They tried to erase America, he declares, pointing out to some invisible enemy in the distance. But we're bringing it back to the builders, the believers, the families who made this country strong. Boom! The place erupts. Cheers explode like a cannon going off. Fists pump in the air. People are shouting, USA, USA, like they're at a wrestling match. But here's the thing, not everyone's on board. If you look close, and I've got an eye for this after years of covering crowds, not every hand is clapping. Not every face is lit up with that blind adoration. Some folks are just standing there taking it in, maybe questioning, maybe doubting. And the cameras, they're hungry for that kind of tension. They pan across the sea of people searching for something, anything to spice up the broadcast. That's when they land on her. Front row, third seat from the aisle, sitting like a statue in a navy blazer, eyes steady as steel. Jasmine Crockett. No intro, no name card flashing on the screen, no nothing. Just her silent, composed, a stark contrast to the chaos around her. Now, if you're not up on Jasmine, let me give you the quick rundown. She's a Texas congresswoman, a lawyer by trade, and a social media powerhouse who's built a rep for cutting through the noise with sharp, no BS commentary. Twitter's sorry X loves her. She's got a knack for clapping back at critics with wit that stings, and she's not afraid to call out hypocrisy, especially when it comes to the GOP. But right now, she's not typing out some viral thread. She's just there. And somehow her stillness is louder than the thousands screaming around her. Up on stage, the event's producer notices her too. I see him lean over to the host, whispering something with a smirk. The host, trying to keep the mood light and playful, flashes a big toothy grin to the crowd and tosses out a quip. Well, would you look at that? We've got a guest from the other team. The crowd chuckles some clap, and I catch a guy near the front yelling Jasmine like he's trying to get her attention. But she doesn't budge, doesn't even twitch. She's a rock in a river of noise. And Trump. Oh, he clocks it. You can see it in the way his eyes flicker over to her for just a split second. He pauses a beat barely noticeable if you're not watching for it, and then he goes in for the kill. Jasmine Crockett, he says, dragging her name out like it's a punchline waiting to land. Twitter's favorite lawyer. Constitution optional. The crowd roars with laughter, eating up the jab like it's candy. He's not done yet. Stick around, Jasmine. Tonight you might learn a thing or two about real family values. The laughs get louder, phones shoot up in the air to record this roast for posterity. Trump's grinning wide, soaking in the reaction like it's fuel. But Jasmine, she doesn't move a muscle. Doesn't crack a smile, doesn't roll her eyes, doesn't give him an inch. Instead, she reaches into her bag, slow, deliberate, almost like she's moving in slow motion, and pulls out a folded, glossy sheet of paper. She lays it across her lap, cool as ice, and looks back up at him. And let me tell you, that tiny gesture, it shifts the whole damn room. Trump hesitates just for a fraction of a second. You can feel it even if you're watching from the cheap seats. Her presence, still unreadable, throws him off his game. He tries another jab. Some people think showing up changes the story, but this ain't social media, this is real America. And yeah, it gets applause, but it's thinner this time. It doesn't land with the same punch. Jasmine still doesn't react. She's not protesting, not heckling, not even looking impressed. She's just waiting, and slowly the crowd starts waiting with her. The air gets heavy, like everyone's holding their breath without even realizing it. Then she lifts the paper. No mic, no dramatic build-up, no cue from a producer. Just her voice, steady, plain, slicing through the noise like a whisper in a hurricane. I only brought one page, she starts. It's from someone named Melania Triel. Dead, freaking, silence. I mean, you could hear a pin drop in that arena, and we're talking 10,000 people here. I'm not here to make claims, she says, calm as ever, like she's reading a grocery list. Just to read it word for word. Trump's eyes dart around. No teleprompter to bail him out, no producers jumping in with a quick cutaway, just him and her, and this moment that's suddenly way bigger than either of them. She reads no emotion, no flair, just the words raw and unfiltered. I never believed the speeches he gave. They were never for me. They were for the crowd. A chill runs through the room. Nobody's smirking now. Nobody's cheering. The energy just drains. I know what it's like to stand beside someone who chooses power over people, she continues. Still no reaction from her, just this eerie stillness. There was a time I believed our son would be protected, that this spotlight wouldn't follow him. But I was wrong. The room is sinking into this heavy, uncomfortable quiet, the kind that makes your skin crawl. This was never supposed to be his burden, but the cameras never stop. The mics always return. Trump tries to cut her off, barking, "That's enough." His voice is sharp, angry, a little rattled, if I'm being honest. It's fake, a stunt, a lie. But Jasmine doesn't even blink. She calmly lifts another page from her lap. Did she have a whole damn file in there? And keeps going like he didn't say a word. This email was sent from a West Palm Beach IP, she says, voice still flat factual like she's testifying in court. The recovery email linked to a private domain. The security question, pet's name only family would know. No yelling, no drama, just cold, hard facts laid out like evidence. And that silence, it's deafening now, louder than anything Trump said all night. The crowd's not clapping anymore. They're filming, sure, because who wouldn't? But they're also watching, waiting, hanging on her every word. Truth, even if it's just a whisper, has somehow taken over the center of this massive room. Jasmine doesn't argue, doesn't grandstand, doesn't try to score points. She just lets the silence do the talking for her. Then she lowers the final page, looks up at Trump, directly at him. No dodging, and says, "I didn't come to talk about your marriage. I came to ask a question." She pauses, letting that hang in the air like a storm cloud. Why does the person closest to you feel she has to disappear to be heard? No punchline, no gotcha moment, just a mirror held up for everyone to see, reflecting something ugly and real. Trump doesn't say a word. His grip on the mic tightens like he's holding onto a story that's slipping right through his fingers. No applause comes. No big comeback. No grandstanding to rally the troops. Just reflection. A void where the noise used to be. Jasmine folds the paper, tucks it back into her bag with the same deliberate calm she started with, and stands up. She walks away without another word, her footsteps echoing in the quiet. The silence doesn't break, it deepens. A few people start clapping slow, almost hesitant, not for drama, not for a side, but because something hit harder than politics ever could. Let's talk about that crowd for a second, because I've been watching crowds react to Trump for years, and this was different. Usually his base is unshakable. They'll cheer through anything, scandals, gaffes, whatever. But this cut through. I saw a guy near me, big dude in a MAGA hat, just staring mouth half open like he didn't know what to do with what he just heard. A woman a few rows back had her phone down, not filming, just listening. Even the skeptics, the ones who came to roll their eyes, they weren't smirking either. They were locked in processing. Because this wasn't about left or right, red or blue. This was personal. This was human. And in every home watching, on every screen, streaming this live across the country, the message was the same. She didn't shout, didn't accuse, didn't play for likes or retweets. She just read. No hashtags, no screaming headlines, just truth, quiet, raw, powerful. Now let's zoom out a bit. Florida's always been a hotbed for Trump. He's got Mar-a-Lago down in Palm Beach, his personal castle where he retreats and strategizes. The state's been a stronghold since he flipped it in 2016, and rallies like this are his bread and butter, big, loud-in-your-face events where he can recharge his base and remind everyone who's boss. But Florida's also complicated. You've got Cuban Americans in Miami who lean hard right progressive pockets in places like Orlando and Tampa, and a whole lot of independents who are just tired of the circus. So when something like this happens, when a moment cuts through the noise and makes even the diehards pause, it's a big deal. It's a crack in the armor, a glitch in the matrix of his carefully curated image. And Jasmine Crockett, she's not just some random heckler who showed up to make a scene. She's a rising star in Democratic circles, a black woman from Texas who's fought her way up through a system that's not exactly built for people like her. She's a lawyer who knows how to build a case, and she's got a track record of taking on powerful folks without blinking. Her social media game is strong. She's got over 1 million followers on X, where she's known for dropping zingers that go viral in minutes. But what she did here wasn't for clout. It wasn't a stunt for retweets. It was calculated, sure, but it was also real. She came prepared with receipts, and she didn't just throw a punch, she landed a gut check. The media fallout. Oh, it was instant. I'm talking cable news losing their minds before Jasmine even made it out of the building. CNN had panels debating whether the letter was real or a hoax with pundits yelling over each other like it's a sport. Fox tried to spin it as a desperate stunt by a radical leftist, but even their hosts looked uneasy like they knew this wasn't going to just disappear. Online, it was a wildfire. Hashtags like #JasmineSpeaks and #MelaniaLetter were trending within the hour. Memes were flying, some mocking Trump, some praising Jasmine, some just asking what the hell just happened. And the comments, man, people were divided, but they were engaged. Even folks who hate politics were talking about it because this wasn't just politics. It was personal. It was a peek behind the curtain of a very public life, and people couldn't look away. But let's not get it twisted. Trump's team didn't just sit there and take it. Within hours, they were out with statements calling the whole thing fabricated, a cheap trick by a failing politician. They doubled down, saying Jasmine was just another Democrat trying to distract from real issues. Trump himself took to Truth Social, of course, posting something about fake news and sad, desperate lies. But here's the thing, his words didn't stick like they usually do. People weren't buying the deflection as easily. That moment in the arena, that silence, it lingered. It was bigger than a tweet, bigger than a soundbite. It was a question, Jasmine's question, that kept echoing. Why does the person closest to you feel she has to disappear to be heard? And that's where the cultural impact comes in. See, we live in a world of noise. 24/7 news cycles, endless hot takes, everyone screaming to be the loudest in the room. But what Jasmine did was the opposite. She didn't yell. She didn't perform. She spoke softly, deliberately, and it cut deeper than any shouting match ever could. It made people stop scrolling, stop arguing, and just think about power, about family, about what gets said behind closed doors versus what's performed on a stage. In a country as divided as ours, where every issue is a battleground, that kind of moment is rare. It's not about winning a debate or owning the libs or sticking it to the conservatives. It's about holding up a mirror and asking, what do you see? I've covered a lot of rallies, a lot of scandals, a lot of gotcha moments that flare up and die down in a day. But this felt different. It wasn't just a blip on the radar. It was a shift, even if just for a moment, in how we listen. Because in every home, on every screen, the message wasn't about politics. It was about people. She didn't come to win the room, but to win a moment that asked one simple haunting question: why did it take a whisper for us to finally listen? And that moment moved. It stuck. It's the kind of thing you don't just scroll past. It's the kind of thing that makes you pause, reflect, maybe even feel something you didn't expect. So yeah, subscribe to that feeling, because in a world drowning in noise, sometimes the quietest voice is the one that shakes the whole damn room. Oh yeah, that moment in the Florida arena, it didn't just hang in the air for a few seconds and fade. It stuck like a splinter you can't quite pull out. As Jasmine Crockett walked off, disappearing into the crowd with that same unshakable calm, the silence in the room didn't just linger, it morphed. It turned into this low, uneasy hum, like the sound of 1,000 people trying to figure out what the hell they just witnessed. I've been in enough high-stakes rooms to know when something's shifted, and this was it. The air felt heavier, like the weight of her words was still pressing down on everyone, even the loudest MAGA diehards. Let's paint the scene a bit more, because I want you to feel like you were there. The arena, some massive cavernous space in the heart of Florida, was still lit up with those blinding stage lights, but they seemed dimmer somehow, like even the tech crew didn't know how to handle the vibe shift. The flags were still up, but they weren't waving as frantically. People weren't on their feet anymore. Some were sitting staring at the stage where Trump stood, mic still in hand, face tight with something between anger and confusion. Others were glancing at each other, whispering like they needed someone else to confirm what just happened. I saw a teenage kid, maybe 16, in a red hat looking at his dad with this furrowed brow, like he was waiting for an explanation that never came. And near the aisle, an older woman, gray hair pulled back, had her hands clasped in her lap, just nodding slowly to herself, like she'd heard something she'd been waiting to hear for years. Trump, for his part, tried to reclaim the narrative. He's a master at that right years of reality TV, and political brawls have taught him how to spin anything. Folks don't buy into the lies, he said, voice booming again, trying to rally the troops. We're here for America, not cheap stunts. A few cheers broke out, but they were scattered half-hearted, like even his biggest fans weren't sure how to jump back on the train. He kept going, pivoting to familiar talking points. Jobs, borders, making America great again, but the energy wasn't there. The crowd was still processing, still stuck on that whisper of a question Jasmine left hanging. Why does the person closest to you feel she has to disappear to be heard? Now let's talk personal stakes, because this wasn't just a public spat, it was deeply personal for both of them. For Trump, this cut close to home. He's built his entire brand on strength, on being the untouchable guy who always has the last word. Mar-a-Lago, just a stone's throw from where this rally went down, isn't just his resort, it's his fortress, his bubble where the world bends to his story. But Jasmine's words, that letter she read it, cracked open a window into something he's fought hard to keep private. The idea of Melania, or someone claiming to be her feeling unheard, unseen in his orbit. That's not just a political attack, it's a personal gut punch. And for a guy who thrives on control, losing the room like that, even for a moment, stings. I've seen him brush off scandals before, Stormy Daniels, Access Hollywood, you name it, but this felt different. This wasn't just tabloid fodder, it was a quiet, piercing doubt about who he is behind the curtain. For Jasmine, the stakes were just as high, if not higher. She's not some political newbie stumbling into the spotlight. She's a black woman from Texas, a state that's not exactly a bastion of progressive love, who's clawed her way into Congress through sheer grit. Every move she makes is scrutinized, every word weaponized against her by folks who'd love to see her fail. Showing up at a Trump rally in enemy territory with a bombshell like that, it's a gamble. She knew she'd be painted as a villain, a radical, a race baiter, or whatever term the right-wing machine would spin. But she also knew the power of her platform. She's got 1 million-plus followers on X, a voice that carries, and a knack for moments that stick. This wasn't about scoring cheap points. It was about planting a seed of doubt in a space where doubt rarely grows. But the cost. She's now got a bigger target on her back. Death threats, trolls, smear campaigns, they're probably already piling up as I'm telling you this.